Okay, before we start it, I want to advertise my tuition program. That is, I have a tuition program for one-on-one students. If you're residing in Mombasa, then also you can do physical classes. So I can come to your home and teach you. But for most probably, I recommend online classes. I teach a Dexter student, I teach this OCR students, I teach A-level students, I teach 844 system, that is from Form 3 and 4, together with Form 2 content, and Form 1. Also teach grade 7 to 9, also includes grade 6 as well. So reach out to me and let's start this session. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Karibuni tena kwa channel yetu Mind Mastery Tutor, na kama kawaida yetu leo tunafanya KJSEA I think ni 2025. So stay tuned and don't forget to subscribe, share, tamam, and also give a comment or like. But let's start the session. So there's also, I have my own tuition center, tuition programs that you can join if you want to. My number is this one. So yeah, you'll see a promo of that tuition. Question 1. A packet contains number cards, Sally pick cards with numbers 2, 4, 5, and 9 from the packet. Which of the following number sets, or which of the following sets has prime numbers only? Now, prime numbers are numbers with 2 factors only. So those are prime numbers. So you can either divide by 1 or itself. Those are the 2 factors. 1 is not included because 1 just has 1 factor. But now if you look at this set of numbers, which is 2, 4, 5, and 9, only 2 numbers are prime numbers. That is basically 2 and 5. So because 2 can divide by 2 and itself, and 5 can be divided by 5 and itself. 4 has more than 2 factors. You can divide by 2, you can divide by 4, you can divide by 1. So those are 3 factors. 9 has also more than 2 factors, which is 3 factors as well. Now let's go to question 2. Now for question 2 says that there are 120 boys, 180 girls, and 24 teachers in a school. The school formed groups with equal number of boys, girls, and teachers. What's the largest number of groups formed? So basically, we need to find GCD. For such question, you can't find LCM because of this keyword, largest number. And also for you to divide it in groups, these are very huge numbers. If you find LCM, you'll find a huger number than this, but now you need just to find groups of those numbers. So that's why you're taking we're searching for the GCD. Now let's find for the GCD of 120 using the box rule. We have 180, we have 24, and then we divide it by 2 because 2 goes into all these numbers. It gives you 60 and it gives you 90. This one gives you 12. If you divide by 2 again, it gives you 30, 45, and 6. Now 2 can't be divided into 45, that's why I need to divide by 3 to give you 10. It gives you 15 and it gives you 2. Now that's the only place that I can stop. So your GCD is 2 times 2 times 3. So 2 times 2 times 3, which is basically written as 2 squared times 3. The answer should be 4 times 3, which is 12. So this is your answer. So hopefully it's very easy. Now as for question 3, let's read the question. What it asks, it's more of integers. So the question 3 asks about the temperature it says that the temperature of a deep freezer was -8 degrees Celsius. The deep freezer, what it adjusts, and the temperature was increased by 15 degrees Celsius. So they increased, so they added 15 degrees Celsius in it. What was the temperature of the deep freezer after it was adjusted? So you need to take -8, you add 15 to it. So it's basically just saying 15 degrees Celsius minus 8, which is just saying 7 degrees Celsius as your answer. But it's better to write it like this: -8 plus 15 wadaiwa 15, uko na 15 wadaiwa 8, you just remain with 7 again. So basically this is your answer. Question 4, Kamau intended to plant 70 seedlings. He allocated 1/5 of an hour to plant each seedling. During the planting, he took 1/4 of an hour to plant each seedling. So he took more hours, in short. Took more hours or more minutes, more duration to plant each seedling. Which of the following calculation would give the extra time Kamau used to plant all the seedling? So he was allocated 1/5 of an hour. So he was to plant that in 1/5 of an hour. But now he used 1/4. Therefore, he used more hours. Because if you look at this 1/5 and 1/4, this is usually greater and this is less. Just look at the denominator. If the denominator is small, and given that the numerators are the same, usually the one with the highest number of denominator will be greater than the one with the lowest. The one with the lowest number of denominator will be greater than the one with the highest number. Okay, so basically 1/4 is greater than 1/5. So if you want to get the extra sign that he used to plant, you take 1/4 minus 1/5 because the 1/4 is bigger, then multiply by 70. So that's the extra hour that he'll use. So this one. Question 5, a grade 9 teacher had flashcards containing questions on indices. Kirui picked a flashcard containing the question 2 to the power of x times 2 to the power of 3, which is equal to 32. Alright, now what's the value of x in the equation? So we know that for you to solve indices, basically you need to make all those numbers to have the same base, in which you have 2 and 2 here. But now 32 should be written also at base 2. So 2 to the power of how much gives you 32? So let's try it out here. So divide by 2, 16, divide by 2, 8, divide by 2 is 4, divide by 2, 2, and then divide by 2. So 2 to the power of 5. So let me just wrap this. You already know that 2 to the power of 5, it gives you 32. So this is basically 2 to the power of 5, 2 to the power of x times 2 to the power of 3. Now we say that in indices there's a rule that says if you're multiplying numbers with the same bases but different powers, you basically add the powers. So basically you need to add these powers for you to get 5. So you know that x plus 3 is just equal to 5. 3 look at the other side becomes negative, so x equal to 2. So x is therefore 2. A very easy question. Yeah. Question 6. The total number of animals in Kiapi's farm is 26. There are X donkeys in the farm. The number of goats in the farm is twice the number of donkeys. The remaining animals are sheep. Which of the following represent the number of sheep in the farm? So you know that the total number of animals that there is 26. That includes the sheep, the donkeys, and the goats. But we know that donkeys are usually X, or the number of goats is twice the number of donkeys. So it's basically 2x. So the remaining animals are usually sheep. So the sheep are usually the remaining. And how do you get the remaining? This is when you take 26. Okay. This is when you take 26 minus 8 by the number of donkeys and goats. So you take 26 minus the sum of 2x and x. So you get 26 minus 2x plus x is 3x. So 26 minus 3x. So that is your answer. So this is basically your answer. Very simple question. Question 7. Sawa. A school is planning to transport X number of learners for drama festivals. For cost efficiency, the school has to transport at least 30 learners but less than 50 learners. Which of the following inequalities represents the above information? So basically, the X value, you don't know how many learners there are, because that's why we've written it to be X. But we know that the school has to transport at least 30 learners. Is either it transport the 30 or greater than 30. That's why I'm writing greater, so less or equal. So 30 is less or equal, but X is greater or equal to 30, but less than 50. We shouldn't be 50, but less than that number. That's why I'm writing this sign. Remember, if I write this, I'm including the number which is here as well, because if someone tells you greater than 30, it should be at least 30. It means that it's either 30 or greater than that number. So this is your answer. Now let's go to question 8. Learners presented the results of two teams in a football league using the matrices. So you have this 3, 2, 1. You have 0 and 7. Then we have 4, 1, 2, 1, and 5. So what's the order of a matrix? The order of a matrix is basically written as row by column. So you need to know how many rows are this in this matrix and how many columns are in that matrix. For now, I know that there are 2 rows. Okay, so basically this is a row. The whole thing is a row. So that's the first row. This is the second row. So R2. There's another thing that you should know. That's a row. So you have 2 rows by, there's a column. So a column is this one. C1, C2, C3, and C4, and C5. Those are columns. And basically, you have 5 columns. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So yeah. So we have that one. So hopefully I think it's understandable. So you have 5 columns. So it's 2 by 5. So it's this one. Question 9. The width of a door is 0.91 meters. So remember, this might be your door. The door is open through an angle of 72 degrees. What is the length which the tip of the door sweeps through? So remember, this is the width of the door. We don't know the door. Let's assume this is your door. Okay. So the width, this is the width. Now, since this is the width, it sweeps at an angle of 72. So this one is also the width. So for now, this one represents our radius. This is 72 degrees. And the 0.91 is now our radius, and this has become a sector. Right. And you've been told to find the length by which the tip of the door sweeps through this one. Basically, they're asking you to calculate the sector, the length of the arc. Okay, the length of the arc. So yeah, so the length of the arc, which is very easy. Now, the length of the arc is given by theta over 360. Let me write it. This is question 9. Theta over 360 times 2 times 22 over 7 times our radius. So theta being 72 over 360 times 2 times 22 over 7. You basically can also use pi. It depends with you. I prefer to use pi most of the time. So I can use pi times your radius, which is 0.91. Or you can use theta over 360 pi d. So 72 over 360 times 2 times pi times 0.91. It gives you 1.14 meters. So that arc is 1.14 meters. Okay, so your answer is this one. Question 10. A water bucket is cylindrical in shape. So it's basically like this. Okay. The diameter of the bucket is 40 centimeter. So you know that this diameter is 40 centimeter. The bucket is filled with water up to a height of maybe, let's say, 42 centimeters. So this is 42 centimeter from here to here. Okay, so what's the surface area of the bucket in contact with water? So the one that's in contact with water is this circle and this curved surface area. Tamam. So only that is usually in contact. As for the upper one, is not in contact, so we won't calculate for that. So we know that the area now is given by that pi r squared plus our pi dh. But for h, we'll use 42 centimeter, and for the radius basically is 20 centimeter. The diameter is, we know it's been given is 40 centimeter. So radius is half of the diameter. So pi times r squared, so times 20 squared. So when I'm doing this, I'm just multiplying it. So yeah, plus pi times our diameter, which is 40, times our height, which is 42. So let me take my calc. Pi times 20 squared, okay, plus pi times 40 times 42, it gives you 6,534.5. It's 1. So yeah, 6,534.51 centimeter square. So, and that is your answer. Okay. Question 11. A packet of milk is in the shape of a cuboid. The length of the packet is 8.5 centimeter, the width is 5 centimeter, and the height is 12 centimeters. So you have a cuboid like this. Tamam. You have a cuboid like this, where the length is 8.5, the width is 5 centimeter, and the height is 12 centimeter. So basically, this is a very easy question. So what do you do? So first, let's find out the volume. And once you find out the volume, you can change the volume to capacity in terms of liters. So volume is given by cross-sectional area times length. For this case is height. So let me just use height and not confuse it with length. So our cross-sectional area is the length times our width, which is this one. Okay, tamam. So our cross-sectional area is this one. So this is our cross-sectional area. So we're taking 8.5 times 5. So let's take 8.5 times 5, then multiply by the height to give you a volume directly. So our volume will be 8.5 times 5 times 12. It gives us 510 cubic centimeter. Remember, this is in terms of centimeter. Now between centimeter and liters, centimeter cube and liters, we know that liters is basically bigger. So for every 1 liter, you're covering like 1,000 cubic centimeter. Now for you to change the cubic centimeter into liters, you divide by 1,000. So divide by 1,000, and it gives us around 0.51 liters. So that is your answer. So this one. Question 12. The temperature of a liquid was recorded as negative 15 Kelvin. Which of the following calculations gives the correct temperature in degrees Celsius? We know that for every 0 degrees Celsius equivalent to 273 Kelvin. Now, if you were to convert degrees Celsius into Kelvin, then you'll have added it. But for now, we're converting Kelvin into degrees. Therefore, you are subtracting. So you're taking negative 15 minus 273. It gives you an answer, but now that's not the basic answer that you are asked. You just give out the correct calculations, and this is your correct calculation. So this is question 12. Now for question 13, also very simple work. Question 13 asks you or tells you that the following table shows the mobile money transaction charges for a mobile service provider. I don't know, they're teaching the students about transactions. This is Safaricom's hand in it. So we have transaction which is 1 to 150. Sending charges is usually free. Withdrawal charges is free. But now, is it true really? Okay. 151 okay. This is a long time mobile. We are telling the children lies. So 151 to 300 is 10 shillings. This withdrawal is, and the following is as follows. So Loima had 4,000. So there's a person called Loima who had 4,000 shillings in his mobile account. So he sent 1,500. So basically there's a charge. We need to know that charge. So he sent. So this is a send charge for sending. So sending charges. Okay, and then he withdrew. So 800. There's now withdrawal charges. Right. So there's sending charges and withdrawal charges. Now for 1,500, we know that if he sends 1,500, how much will he incur as a sending charge fee? So 1,500 is in which category? Is not here, is not here, is not here, is not even here, is here. So if you send anything around that range, 1,001 to 2,500, you incur 30 shilling cost. So the transaction costs will be equivalent to the 30, and then let's add with the 800. He withdrew, so 800 belongs here. So if he withdraws from a range of 501 to 1,000, he basically will get 28 shillings as his withdrawal charges. So plus 28. So the transaction cost will be 58 shillings. Now remember, he sent 1,500. He also withdrew 800, and then he incurred 58 shillings as the cost transaction for sending and also withdrawing. So when you add those up, it gives you 2,358. Come on. So and then 4,000 minus, because you want to know how much he remained with in his mobile account. So 4,000 minus 2,358. So 4,000 minus that, 1,642. So yeah, 1,642 shillings. That is the amount of money that he remained within his account. So that's the answer. So that's question 13. I have several questions to go. Question 14, which is also easy. Salome estimated the height of a window to be 1.5 meters. She measured it and found that the actual height was 1.2 meters. Which of the following calculations gives the percentage error in his estimation? In her estimation. Now we know that error. If you want to get an error or absolute error, I don't know if students were taught this, but if you want to get error or absolute error, you basically take your actual minus the estimated. Okay, or you can, but as long as you don't just take the negative, or you can also take the estimated minus actual. For now, I'll use the estimated minus actual. So the estimated, let's say your actual is 1.2 minus 1.5 is around negative 0.3. Now we neglect that negative. We basically take the positive, which is 0.3. Now once we get that error, percentage error is equal to your absolute error divided by actual multiplied by 100. So your absolute error is 0.3 divided by actual, and our actual is basically 1.2. That's our actual multiplied by 100, and let's see how so that's the calculations that's needed. So we're not asked to find the answer, that the only the calculation part. So yeah, so the answer is this one. Now question 15, the following are properties of quadrilateral. Opposite sides are equal and parallel. There is diagonal bisect at 90. Opposite angles are equal. Now this one is basically rhombus. It is rhombus because the diagonals are bisect at 90. I don't think of another one which bisect at 90. The opposite sides are also equal and parallel, obviously, and opposite angles are also equal. Yeah, obviously. I can't be parallelogram because they don't bisect at 90 degrees. So this leaves us with rhombus. Now we're left with 5 questions to go. Even I want to relax. Now question 16. The scale of an architectural drawing was 1:100. Now in ratio, we assume that both of the units here are the same. So most of the students write like this: 1 centimeter represent 100 meters, which is very wrong. It should be 1 centimeter represent 100 centimeter. So both of the units should be the same. So if you divide by 100, if you want to change this into meters, you take 100 divided by 100, it gives you 1. So for every 1 centimeter that you draw, you're representing 1 meter of the actual distance that is there. So now wall constructed using the drawing was 3 meters long. Now it's 3 meters long. So basically it will be just a drawing of 3 centimeters. So yeah. So what was the length of the wall? It's just 3 centimeters. That's a very tricky question. Okay, question 17. I think this paper, if you're not keen, you could fail, you could fail. But if you are a very good student, I think you can pass tremendously. Okay, question 17. We know drew a straight line L1. The equation of L1 is 2y equal to x plus 3. A line L2 is perpendicular to L1. So L2 is perpendicular to L1. Okay, what's the gradient of L2? We don't know the gradient. So first, let's make this in the form of y equal to mx plus c, so that we get to know the gradient that is behind x. So how? So you divide by 2, divide by 2, divide by 2 gives you y equal to x over 2, or you can write it as a half x plus 3 over 2. So basically a half is your m, or your m or the gradient. Now we know that for perpendicular lines, the gradient is given by this formula, m1 times m2 equal to -1. What does this mean? That the two gradients, if you multiply themselves, it gives you -1. In short, if your m1 is a half, your m2, or the perpendicular line, it should be reciprocal of a half, which is 2 over 1. But now when that one is positive, this one, the m2 becomes negative, so your gradient is -2. So yeah, it's very easy. Okay, question 18. A photograph was enlarged to twice its original size. The original photograph had a length of 16 centimeters. So let's say the original, okay, you've been told a photograph was enlarged to twice its original size. So if the original size is 16 centimeter, so the new size will be double the original. So it was enlarged to twice its original size. So yeah, so you basically take 2 times 16, which is 32. So that's the new size or the new length. I don't know. Yeah, it's such questions are very easy. The following figure shows an object in the shape of a triangle ABC. Now I don't have a protractor, but I can guess this one. So we use a protractor to determine the size of angle ABC. But if I look at it, it doesn't reach 90. It doesn't reach 90. But since I don't have a protractor, I can't show you. I know it doesn't reach 90. So it doesn't exceed even 90. So basically it's around 85. So if I can guess, I could say 85. It can be 60. 60 doesn't reach that way. So 60 now. So, but I'm not sure for this case. I'm just giving out my perception. So by on time, find a protractor and measure it. Okay. Question 20. That's the last question of section A. The next day, another time when I'm going to post, I'll post for section B, because it's very lengthy. This paper is very lengthy. So for around 40 questions. The letters of the word elementator is written on cards, each letter. So let me write elementator. The cards were placed in a bucket. Asha picked a card from the bucket at random. What's the probability that Asha picked a card with letter E? So we have this 1, we have 2, we have 3. So we have 3 letters. So 3 out of 11. So yeah, so 3 over 11, that's your probability. So because you have only 3 letters, which are E, and this 11, the total letters are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 3 of them are just E's. So the answer is 3. So with that, don't forget to subscribe, because we'll also continue from there. Start with question 21, but don't forget to subscribe to this channel, share it to your friends, and also choose your subjects wisely. It's very important. Don't choose arts when you're not an artist, and don't choose STEM when you know you cannot handle that field. Okay, leave the arts to the artists, and leave the STEM to those who are good at STEM courses. But I wish you all the best in your careers and in your grade 10 grade 10 class, new class. So I'll say assalamu alaikum. Let's meet in the other session.